This is the third video in a series produced to help improve the design skills of the woodturner. This video examines how the act of repetition can be used to enhance the design of a piece. I want to distinguish between repeating for the sake of practice or in the process of making a production item, and repeating a design with variations in proportion or material or a number of other variables. Whilst repetition for the sake of practice or production is most definitely a good thing, we all need to develop our technique. In this video, I want to consider the reproduction of a design with changes to some of the variables that make a design. For example, I once had to make a series of bowls out of mulberry for each member of a family of 10. They wanted to supply me with the timber as it came from the family farm and the tree had finally died. Since the timber came in various sizes and proportions, I couldn't make an identical series, but I could adapt a form that I had in mind that could be applied to each piece. Here's the shape I had in mind when I set out. You can see from the finished pieces that they belong in the same series but have different proportions. I think that making a series like this allows us to expand our repertoire of shapes and forms, and also lets us see in 3 dimensions which of the proportions works best or is the most pleasing. Because I often make bowls in batches, I can use this concept when producing a series of similar pieces that may, for example, be made of the same timber. This batch of bowls is largely made of red gum, and I tried to keep the form similar in each piece. Because of the variety of shapes and the fact that the condition of the timber varied so much, it's clear that I have to make allowances in this endeavour. Furthermore, I varied the decoration on each piece and even the surface treatment that allowed me to produce a series of bowls that have the same underlying form but are obviously unique. So I now have a series of designs to study in 3 dimensions from which I can develop the most pleasing aspects or aspects I want to experiment with further in the future. Here's another example. These weed pots all have the same underlying form and are all made of the same material. In their production, I varied the proportions of width and height and made lots of them. I also gave some a different surface treatment by scorching them. By examining closely the results, there are definitely some that I prefer to others. In my opinion, the ones with the fatter, squat bases don't work nearly as well as the taller, thin forms with smaller bases. I'll keep this in mind when I next make a series of these forms. I'm sure that repetition that involves variation in proportions, form, or even materials can help us produce better designed work. At the very least, it gives us a larger repertoire to look back on when creating new pieces.